Lucy. She is a sophomore in high school, so 10th grader. And I have a 12-year-old son who's in 6th grade. And, is it not on there? I have also a 6-year-old daughter who's going to enter kindergarten this year. So I have 4 kids, all at different stages of life, and I work with my husband alongside Greg at Focus on the Family. He is the Vice President of Marriage and Parenting in Colorado Springs, and I am on his team, which provides many interesting opportunities, speaking of marriage, working together and also being married for 21 years. It has been an adventure, to say the least. So I am busy. And I know each of you are also busy, that you have many challenges, I'm sure, between family life, marriage, and business. That it is the greatest threat that we have found against marriage is busyness. Because when we are busy, we don't tend to give our spouses or our families our primary attention. So it's hard. So then, we all know we're supposed to be giving to our marriage, but yet it's one more thing to add to these overloaded plates, right? It's one more thing. So sometimes I know we feel guilty, we feel failed because we know we're supposed to be doing something else to increase this important relationship, or this covenant relationship that we have in marriage. Yet it's challenging when we're already spread so thin. Often, I know for me, that's when I sometimes do things that end up being quite embarrassing. Before we were at Focus on the Family, we were at John Brown University in Siloam Springs, Arkansas. I'm guessing most of you have never heard of that. It's a little tiny town in the middle of Arkansas, Midwest, United States. We had a really crazy day. We had a retreat for our staff all day long, and then we were transitioning from the daytime retreat to the nighttime. We were having our Christmas function. And in between there was a new man that had started on our staff, and so he came with us to drive with us because he didn't really know where we were going. So we ran home because I had to get the gifts for the Christmas ornament exchange. Of course, I hadn't wrapped them because it was last minute. So I ran into my bedroom. The ornaments were sitting there. I did have gift bags set out, so that was a positive. So I took my ornaments, stuck them in the gift bag, and then I remembered that I needed to grab some feminine hygiene products from the bathroom. So I did that, and I ran out into the kitchen area, but I forgot that this man had come with us who I didn't know. So I had my gift bag and my products, and there I was. Murphy was standing there, and I just absentmindedly, I stuffed them in the bag. And Murphy looked at me and she said, "I wouldn't do that, Mom." I was like, "Oh no, I'm gonna get in the car and it's gonna be fine. I'm gonna, I'll readjust everything and it'll all be good." Well, in the midst of busyness and chaos, an hour and a half later, here we are sitting at this Christmas party. And I was so excited because the guy sitting next to me, 24-year-old single graduate fellow in our office, gets my bag. And I'm so excited. So, "You got my present, you got my present." And he's digging through it, gonna open it, and all of a sudden I'm looking down inside of it going, why did Greg put something in the bottom of the bag? That's not funny. What did he put in there? I'm blaming Greg. No recollection whatsoever of what I had done. And wouldn't you know, as he's digging through it, suddenly he flings the tissue paper up and pulls the ornament out, and this little product goes flying across the room in front of our entire staff. I was humiliated. But those are the things that happen in the midst of busyness and chaos and confusion. So that's why today I am not going to, the family picture didn't come up, that's okay. Today we're not going to encourage you to add one more thing to your plate. This is what I love about the concept of just repurposing these everyday moments that are happening in all of our days. But we can take them and repurpose them to strengthen our marriages. So we're not going to give you 10 more things. Every time we hear a speaker, we think, oh, great. You think about people who are talking about being more organized, and they give you 10 more ways to be organized, and it just adds to the confusion. So what we encourage you to do is look at these moments, everyday moments that are already happening, and how can you then repurpose them to strengthen your marriage, and they can also strengthen your family. So there's several of them. I love the quote by James Dobson, who was the founder of Focus on the Family. "Overcommitment and exhaustion are the most insidious and pervasive marriage killers you will ever encounter as a couple." because it is the most insidious and pervasive marriage killers, overcommitment and exhaustion. And typically, has a great impact on our marriage. So there's these moments, and they're going to look different for each of you depending on what your daytime schedule looks like, what your nighttime schedule looks like, but they're there, and it's being aware of them. The first one that we want to make you aware of is that when you wake up in the morning, someone typically is leaving the home. Either your wife, your husband, whoever it is that's leaving, they're leaving. And we just want to encourage you to take that opportunity from the time you wake up till the time someone leaves the home and repurpose it and use it to strengthen your marriage. First, offer encouragement. So as your spouse is walking out the door, encourage them. Encourage actually means to make courageous. So as you speak life into them as they're exiting the home, that is an opportunity to give them something to be more courageous as they interact with the world. Because we all know as we exit our homes, sometimes the world can be cruel and challenging and difficult. So we have the opportunity to make them courageous. And the good news is that that's what they take with them as they leave. Secondly, do you take time to offer some affection to them? I know when Greg is walking out the door, typically I leave after he does. I'm getting lunches ready and kids ready to exit and go to school, and it's kind of crazy in the morning. I'm making breakfast and getting ready and dressed, and it's crazy. Do you take time, because I know I wasn't doing this, taking time just to stop and simply kiss my husband as he walks out the door, hug him, do something to show him I care that you are leaving me right now. And there is actual research that shows men that are kissed as they walk out the door. Now we have to listen to this. Both for men, you can now say when you go home, tell your wife, there's research that shows you need to be kissing me as I'm walking out the door, because you miss less work if you are kissed when you walk out the door. You are less likely to have an auto accident on the way to work. You earn 20 to 30% more, and you live 5 years longer, is what research is showing. So I know it motivated me as a wife to kiss my husband and just take that simple time. Now we're not talking about, a little peck on the cheek, but we're also not talking about the longest kiss, record breaker. I think it was a couple in Thailand that actually did that, and it was this absurd amount of hours. I'm not quite sure how they accomplished it. Just a simple, heartfelt, affectionate kiss as they're walking out the door really can make a difference. And again, that sets a positive tone for the rest of the day. They're encouraged and they've experienced affection. That is going to have an impact them as they're walking out the door. Secondly, while they're away, use the opportunity. We have such great technology now, texting, emailing, phone calls, just to simply say, I am thinking about you. I have you on my mind. Just simple opportunity to encourage them throughout the day. Philippians 1:3 says, I thank my God every time I remember you. So simply to encourage them throughout the day. Ask them when they're leaving, how can I pray for you today? Do you have a presentation today? Do you have a meeting today? What is it that you have going on today that I can be praying for you? And then text them, follow up and text them and let them know, call them, email them, to just let them know you're thinking of them. However, my husband did this. He had asked me what I had going on, and he got to work and he sent a text, and it said something like, gosh, I'm thinking of you. You looked really nice this morning. I really liked your outfit. I can't wait to come home later on. And he sent it. And within 3 seconds, he had a return response back from his boss. That was very awkward because the boss said, I'm hoping this was for Erin, because if it's not, we need to have an immediate emergency meeting right now. So just make sure that you are sending it to the right person. And this is the feeling that they're going to hold all day long while they're away as they are preparing to come back home. So there's two of those opportunities as people are leaving in the morning, and then also contacting and making contact with your spouse while they're away. The third one is when they're coming back home, when they're re-entering into the home at the end of the day. That's another, typically in our home, meltdown hour is what we call it. It's crazy. Homework, dinner, kids are crying. If you have small kids, especially between 5 and 6 in the U.S., it is meltdown hour. So what are you doing to greet them as they come back into the home? Are you acknowledging that they're coming back into your presence? Because it's easy just to say, hey, and just keep going and whatever you're doing. But what the important thing is to set it down, acknowledge that the person that you have chosen to spend the rest of your life with is walking through the door. For me, I'm competitive, and so I refuse to let our family dog be more excited about my husband walking in than me. Because you think about how happy dogs get when you come home. Why aren't we taking that? You never thought you would learn something from your family dog. I did. That I wanted to be as happy as that dog is when my husband walks in the door. And again, that sends the message that you are more important than anything else that's going on right now. The kids, dinner, homework, everything else can wait because it's you that is so important to me. 2 Corinthians 13:12 says, use attention to turn toward excitement and affection. Greet one another with a holy kiss. So again, you can use the opportunity for affection. It says, I value you. And it sets a positive tone for the rest of the evening as you're being reintegrated as a family. So it sets that positive tone for the rest of the evening. And that sets you up for an evening of connection, an evening of communication, and all the things that we desire after being separated from each other all day long. Lastly, so there's those three opportunities. Lastly, when you go to sleep at night. Typically, Greg and I will get in bed about the same time. And if I have stuff going on, I will actually put my pajamas on and go get in bed. And even if I have to get back up, I don't want to miss out on the opportunity to connect before we go to sleep. And really, the greatest thing that you can do is to simply thank your spouse for something that they did that day. Thank them for, doing dishes, making dinner, the simple things. Thank you for, going out and working all day long and making money for our family and being a great provider. There are so many opportunities just to simply thank them for what they do for you, because that so many times those opportunities get missed. Research actually shows that we actually thank strangers more than we do our own family members. So just to remember to be intentional about that opportunity. We love this quote, God gave you a gift of 86,400 seconds today. Have you used one to say thank you? 86,400 seconds. You would think that we could use one of those, 10 of those, just to simply thank our spouse. And then lastly, prayer. Prayer has such an amazing impact as we're drifting off to sleep. Think about if you pray over your spouse, pray protection over them, pray the Holy Spirit over them, that is what they float off to sleep with. That's their last memory of the day. And what an amazing way to go to sleep each and every night. Romans 15:5-6 says, may the God of endurance and encouragement grant you to live in such harmony with one another in accord with Christ Jesus, that together you may with one voice glorify the God and Father of our Lord Jesus Christ. And again, that sets the tone for the entire night, that when your spouse wakes up in the morning, when this all starts again, that they have that loving feeling, that they wake up encouraged that they're waking up next to you, that this is someone who has cared for me, who has acknowledged me, who has encouraged me, spoke life into me over the past day, and you get to do it again, over and over, each and every day. So those are just 4 of the opportunities that you have every single day. There are many others. You think about when you sit down for dinner with your family at night, with your kids. We play a game, we call it the high-low game. What was the high of your day? What was the low of your day? Just a simple way to repurpose the meal to connect emotionally and to know what was going on in each of our lives throughout the day. There's other ones. There's bath time when you're bathing kids. There's, when you're cooking meals. You can do that together and repurpose that to draw you closer. So for each of us, it's going to be different, because maybe someone works a night shift and they're not there at bedtime. Maybe someone wakes up very early and isn't there when you wake up in the morning. So these 4 may not be the 4 that you choose, but we just encourage you to really think about, what is it that I can be doing, these little moments that happen every single day, and we just have the opportunity to become aware of them and to repurpose them to strengthen our relationships. So it is 8:10, and he is not here. Should we just do some questions, or?
No doubt he'll walk through the door any minute and do that.
Yes, he will.
Erin, that was fantastic.
Oh, thank you.
My wife is coming to hear you tonight, which I'm
Oh, good. Good, good,
about
good.
that. You do that. But has anyone got any questions on that? Someone? We just do one another.
I have a question, but I'll just ask that entry. But it's just so simple, and it when you're all tweeting and Michael's texting with Michael already.
Just hoping,
About kissing a dog.
hoping he's sending it to the right person. Yes.
I said that she's going to get rid of the dog.
You do that, Terry.
Erin, thank you very much for that presentation. It's great. Those little things are very important, and you've highlighted them. What about when you've offended your spouse? It's back to back rather than face to face, and it's very hard to do that thing. Have you got some suggestions for that situation?
You know, what we always say is there's 3 words that we have learned are so critical in those times when someone's offended, and they're help me understand. Help me understand what's going on right now. Help me understand how I offended you. Help me understand this is what I thought I said, and you may have received it differently. And it's because it's an attitude of humility, and it allows you to, you know, they're not going to become defensive if you're asking them to simply help me understand. And, you know, softness and gentleness is such a key in that. My father-in-law, some of you may have heard of Erin Smalley, he stressed that so much in all of his books, his teaching, the gentleness and in being soft to reopen someone's spirit or their heart. Because when we're offended and we're disappointed, our hearts are closed toward each other. And 2 open hearts are what creates the relationship that we really all desire, because then we're connecting open-heartedly. God's love can flow through us to each other, and all the things that we desire, intimacy occurs pretty effortlessly. But it's when we're offended that it doesn't.
Very good.
I'm glad about what you said about kissing the spouse that's leaving the house, and I think that is so important, because my brother left home one morning and had a cerebral aneurysm that day and died. And how awful would it be for that to happen to you as the surviving spouse, and think, I didn't kiss my husband today, and he actually died today. So I think that's something that we mustn't miss on, because just, even if you've had the biggest fight in the world, say sorry and kiss before you walk out the door.
I think absolutely you're right, because that is, you know, as a married couple, that would be just such a difficult scenario to walk through. Oh, look who is here. Because that's not how you would want your last interaction to be. And it's true as you're walking out and offering that affection. What a simple opportunity.
Those principles with your husband and wife work perfectly. You would apply that also to all your children, wouldn't you?
Yes, definitely.
Those principles.
Definitely. And I mean, there's research out there too. I'm looking at Murphy because I don't know if she even knows this, but I always try to hug before they walk out, because a hug increases what they call, it's oxytocin. And so that increases that in your system, and it actually has a medical benefit, a physiological benefit then to their well-being throughout the day. So a hug, they say, I think it has to be a 6-second hug.
Do you want us to demonstrate it?
That's
what I need.
I see them comparing the dog.
Yeah. So, hi.
Wow. Well, hey, what an honor it is to be with you guys. So I have no idea what you've been talking about, but it sounds really.
We made it through all the everyday opportunities, and they're just kind of asking questions right now as far as ways to apply it.
Oh, great.
the simplicity of it.
Yeah. Yeah. So I can join in, or
You can just join right in.
she did all the hard work, so I'm sure they'll pay for this later on. I get that. I get that feeling. Yeah. So any questions that we can answer? I mean, I know that I'm sure she did a great job of setting this up, but this really, yeah. I mean, we've spent years and years. I don't know how much of our background that you shared, but. You know, I mean, we ran basically a marriage ER, kind of a hospital for couples in crisis, and I mean, we learned tons of great stuff on how to help couples. This simple thing, just maximizing kind of these everyday moments, this really has been a huge change in our marriage. I mean, it's caused me to really look for things that are already going on and how to take advantage of those. So I don't know if it seems like, oh, this seems so simple. I'm telling you. It's had a profound effect. It's like you guys, I mean, we're so busy, and this idea of not adding 5 more things, you know, because aren't you used to that when you hear someone talk about busyness, then they're going to give you the 101 ways to simplify your life. Actually, in preparation for a chapter of a book we were writing, just kind of simplifying, I mean, I found that. There was one website that gave 1,000 ways to simplify your life. And think of the irony of that. I don't have time to think about 3 new ways, much less go through 1,000. So I think this is just what's been so amazing about this concept of just really looking kind of on how to do that. So yeah, but any as you kind of think about your own relationship, your own life, I mean, are there other moments that you're aware of? That are happening beyond kind of what we shared with you guys that already?
Well, I offered some others, you know,
Okay.
dinner time and cooking meals,
I'll
but
sit down and I'll listen to you.
I said everything you already said, so. They wanted to hear it again, though. I know it.
It's so important. So.
Yeah. Are there any other opportunities there that came to mind in the midst of thinking of those simple moments for you?
I'd just like to say the idea of, we've got our eldest son and his wife is in Melbourne. They've only moved there last year. And to just that concept of even sending a text, it's been a big change for us because we've been a really close family and suddenly we've got distance. And to actually make those contacts, we've got to be very intentional. But it makes so much difference because you just keep that thread that we have so much technology available to us to just get out on the phone and text quickly and say, hey, just thinking of you, hope that meeting went well. You can do that for your family. So, so thank you. It's good to be around.
Yeah, I know for me that, you know, as far as a guy, I mean, let me ask you, the guys, this, we have such an ability to compartmentalize our life. You know, it's not that I don't think about her throughout the day, but you know what I'm saying? I mean, I get focused on this thing, and there's this thing, and this thing. That doing just that simple texting. Yeah, I had to put a little sign. I stuck it right on my computer that said, text Erin. This is just as a reminder because I just get so focused. And yeah, I think what's so powerful is, as she's probably already said, that I think what it says to her is that, one, you're on my mind. And guys, that's a good thing for them to pick that up. And then obviously then that she matters to me because I'm taking some time to do that. But I agree. Well, that texting is such a simple, easy way to maintain a connection. Yeah.
Can you make some comments on 2 issues? Business travel, and secondly, time focusing on the services.
Yeah.
Military services.
Oh, okay. Sure. Since I don't know what you've said or not, should I?
Go ahead. We haven't talked anything about that, so we're good. Yeah. Yes.
All right. You know, I think for me, one, the question is, yeah, so how do you stay connected, you know, when you're on business travel? And, you know, a couple things for me that's really made a difference. And I know that we all can't do this, so I mean, the question is, can this work for you? But a big one for me has been that when I travel, usually for the most part, someone always comes with me. So if it's Erin and I, you know, that's an easy one. But then a lot of times I had to make certain sacrifices, even financially, to take one of my kids with me. And so again, that may not work at all in what you do, but I'm telling you, I've kind of forced that within the work that I do to say, listen, if you want me to come, you know, I am going to bring, you know, either we're going to do this together or I'm bringing one of my kids. And what that's done is it's, in Murphy, I know that you've been on plenty of those before, and we always then get this special time together. I don't feel that loneliness that sets in, and because I know, like as a guy, when I get stressed out, and travel is hard, right? I mean, it's not easy. You know, did you talk about sort of the differences between how men and women can handle? It's very interesting when a man gets stressed out, and the oxytocin is kind of running through our bodies. As a guy, we isolate. It causes us to want to go off into what she conveniently calls the cave. You know what I'm talking